You talked about situational awareness. Can you give us your definition of situational awareness and what are the key factors of having a high situational awareness?
Situational awareness is um, having an understanding of what's going on in a moment's time. It is a picture to be able to see where people are, what people need, where the threat is. Person knows normally where they are, and to be able to, once again, situational awareness. What is the situation? Am I aware of all the parts that affect me? All right. And can I make a good decision based upon that? So it's live. It all has to happen in real time. And that's why we interconnect. We build it. It doesn't just run in the cloud. It's built live to run right on a Chromebook, all right, to run live on a PC, on a Mac, on a teacher's tablet, whether it's an Android or an Apple, on a phone. You know, it it has to interconnect each person so that, well, Connor, it starts this way. I mean, pretend I was doing a training. Suppose Brendan is the principal at the school. You're a teacher at the school, and I got a bunch of other teachers. We can't see them right now, but we do trainings with people all over the country, right? And they're normally done by Zoom. And I tell people I would have been a good third grade teacher, right? That's about all. But here's how we started out. And this kind of helps with situational awareness. I want you to point at the camera and repeat after me. We're going to do like a third grade teacher would do. Have the kids, repeat after me. Come on, you two, point at the camera. Can you do it? And say, I'm sure glad.
I'm sure glad.
I don't look like Jim.
I don't look like Jim.
And you can say that sincerely, right? Right? I'm old and been worked hard. But then I have the teachers look at each other, and they may be, you may be looking at 70, 100, 200 little Zoom. I know they can only see like 50 at a time on a Zoom call, but I have them pan through and look at each other because they're in their rooms and we're testing it right in their own environment. And as they look at you and they look at you, and I have them say this to one of the other teachers, to all the other teachers, say, I'm sure glad I can count on you. See,
That's really powerful.
The point is if one teacher, when something happens, yes, we can tie into sensors cameras that can say, hey, I've identified something, or a metal detector says I've identified something. But the majority of the time, it's actually another teacher or student that identifies something. And they could just run away and say, the hell with I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. They can run away and say, I'm just taking care of myself. But they really do care normally about the team and the group they work with. And when they look at each other and say, you know what, if I see something, you can count on me. I'm not only going to make sure the first responders know, I'm going to make sure all of you know. Because at any given time, statistically, conservative statistic is 17% of the people at any given time. Right now, it's 8:21. So there's a summer school class going on somewhere. And 17% of the people in that school are in an insecure location right now. They're in the media center, the cafeteria, the hallway, the break rooms, the gyms, the parking lots. And if there's a threat, you want to know more than just a siren went off or an intercom went off. They need to know where that threat is relative to where they are. And so when they say, hey, I can count on you and I can count on you and you can count on me, that's situational awareness. Active Defender connects everybody in real time. And it streamlines that communication, because too much information is just as bad as not enough. So that's another kind of end of what's going on with it.
So Jim, that's an incredibly powerful message. And keeping situational awareness in mind, can you go over how Active Defender really works at an application level? Maybe as you talked about, there's the teachers and then there's the whole system. As well. Can you go how the application works and how it's implemented at each level?
Sure. So let's see if we kind of go from a macro view and see if we can get down to a micro scale. You would have to have some from, I guess, the military, whatever we call the sensor, or some point of information that is reporting a problem. All right. It easily could be, if I was sharing my screen, one of the big things we do that I think is a huge differentiator is that we have panic buttons. And there's tons of people that have panic buttons, don't get me wrong. But the system would start out probably with a panic button. Ours is considered a silent panic button that can be on pretty much any device. Now, just throwing a little caveat in, see if I can tell this story and get back real quick. The majority of cameras in any school system are, in my opinion, in a classroom. Now, you get some pushback if you tell that to begin with to most people in the school system. They're like, no, there's no cameras in my classroom. But in reality, every teacher's laptop and desktop has a webcam. I mean, I'm using one right now on a thing. Every tablet, every phone has a camera. Every Chromebook has a camera. Most smart boards and significant number of Promethean boards have cameras. So the system would work by implementing. It can be both on, and it will be on the phone. I'll go over why we have such a high percentage of teachers that put it on their phones without pushback. There's a little pushback to begin with, but we have very high success rate. But whether it's activated on the phone, whether it's a silent panic button, if it is, they just can reach out with one touch and activate that alert. Now, depending on what it is, that could be, hey, I need help in my classroom, or it could be, I see an active shooter. Most likely it's probably a medical alert. If it's the silent panic button that has been installed on their device, we work with the IT department, usually at the administrative level, either the district or the school, if it's a large private school or small, whatever. And it's installed on each one that way, so it knows where the location of that device is. And it just does a pop-up depending upon the severity level of the alert. It goes to the right people that have been identified by the command center. So each school has a command center so they can identify who gets what alerts. For example, if a 10th grade English teacher says, I have a medical problem, maybe they have a child that's got epilepsy or something like this, and it might not be so uncommon as you think, and they need help, all right, instantly, they can access that. But you probably don't need your physics teacher getting the medical alert, right, from this other teacher. So that alert would go probably to the administration, the school nurse, maybe key people. Likewise, somebody might say, hey, I see an unidentified person. That is the number one alert that gets activated on our system, an unidentified person. Once again, I probably don't need that to go to every person on the campus, but I want it to go to my school resource officers, my administration. I certainly want it to go to all my grounds crew and my janitors, right? Because they have flexibility and can go and stop that person. But you don't want a kindergarten teacher taking her class and going and confronting an unidentified person. So one point, or it can once again receive from other points of says, hey, I see something that needs to be addressed. All right. That looks at then the different types. Is it an unidentified person, a fight? We call those disturbance types alerts. Is it a medical alert? Now those go to a certain group of people. Is it a call for help in my room?